Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The storm came suddenly, dark clouds rolling in like a tide, swallowing the sun and unleashing fierce winds that tossed Donald's small boat on the raging sea. He had set out for adventure, seeking solace in the vastness of the ocean, but nature's fury had other plans. Hours of battling the elements left him exhausted and disoriented, until finally, the relentless waves hurled him against the jagged rocks of a small, uncharted island. Gasping, Donald clambered onto the sandy shore, the salty water clinging to his skin. The island was unlike anything he had seen before. Palm trees swayed gracefully, their fronds whispering secrets to one another in the gusts of wind. Brightly colored flowers dotted the landscape, their vivid hues stark against the emerald green of the foliage. A sense of tranquility enveloped him, a stark contrast to the chaos he had just escaped. As he regained his footing, Donald began to explore his surroundings, hoping to find shelter and perhaps a way to signal for help. The air was thick with the fragrance of exotic blooms, and the sound of waves gently lapping against the shore supplemented the song of birds flitting through the branches. But he was alone, abandoned and adrift, a lonely castaway on this beautiful island. Stepping beyond the tree line, he noticed something strange among the underbrush. A shimmer in the sunlight caught his eye. Approaching cautiously, he discovered a clearing where the remnants of a crashed spaceship lay scattered across the mossy ground. Its metallic surface was battered and dented, but it still bore an alluring, otherworldly sheen. Donald's heart raced with exhilaration and trepidation. What had happened here? He knelt beside the ship, running his fingers over the cool metal, marveling at the alien symbols etched into its surface. His mind raced with questions, but before he could formulate any coherent thoughts, a faint, haunting sound escaped from inside the vessel. Curiosity overtook him, and he clambered through a gaping hole in the side of the ship. The interior was dark, illuminated only by sporadic flashes of lights flickering ominously. As he ventured further into the wreckage, he caught sight of movement, a figure huddled in the shadows. His breath caught in his throat as he stumbled upon her. Hazel. She was ethereal, with flowing silver hair that seemed to cascade like liquid light over her shoulders. Her skin shimmered softly, an iridescent hue that shifted with the play of light. But it was her eyes that captivated Donald, large and luminescent, reflecting a deep intelligence mixed with an underlying vulnerability. "Are you human?" she whispered, her voice soft as a breeze, yet filled with an urgent need for connection. Donald's heart raced, and he could hardly believe his eyes. "Yes," he stammered, still absorbing the reality of the moment. "I'm Donald. I found you here. What happened?" Hazel's expression shifted, revealing a sadness that contrasted starkly with her otherworldly beauty. "My ship was attacked," she replied, the tremor in her voice betraying her fear. "I was left behind when they took my crew. I'm all alone." In that instant, a wave of empathy washed over Donald. A rush of emotions surged within him, a desire to protect, a yearning for understanding, and a deep-rooted loneliness that mirrored Hazel's own. Here, on this remote island, he had discovered not just an alien being, but a kindred spirit. Donald reached out cautiously. "You're not alone anymore," he said, feeling an inexplicable connection to her. "We'll figure this out together." As the initial shock of their meeting began to dissolve, Donald and Hazel found solace in the shared uncertainty of their situation. The dim light inside the wrecked ship highlighted the contours of her face, revealing a mixture of fear and resilience that drew Donald in. They sat together amidst the remnants of her spacecraft, the whispers of the sea outside their only companion. "Tell me about yourself," Donald prompted gently, wanting to understand the woman who had unexpectedly entered his life. Hazel took a deep breath, her luminous eyes meeting his with a spark of determination. "I come from a planet called Eloria. It's beautiful, much like this island but more vibrant. The colors of our skies are rich purples and blues, and our oceans glow with bioluminescent creatures." She paused, a wistful smile crossing her lips. I was part of a mission to explore other worlds, to foster understanding and peace between different species. Her voice trembled, tinged with the pain of loss. But we were ambushed by a group of raiders. I was separated from my crew during the chaos, and they must have thought me dead. I don't know what's happened to them. Donald listened intently, feeling the weight of her words. Hazel, I'm so sorry. It must be terrifying to feel so alone. He reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining in an unspoken promise of support. But you're not alone anymore. We'll find a way to get you home. Together. Hazel's cheeks flushed with a soft iridescent glow, and for a moment, her fear seemed to lift. Thank you, Donald. You don't know how much that means to me. A spark of hope ignited in her eyes, momentarily brightening the dim space around them. As hours passed, they shared stories about their lives. Donald spoke of his childhood by the sea, how he cherished the thrill of adventure, and how his heart had felt heavy after the departure of those he loved. Hazel opened up about her upbringing, the customs of her people, and the bond she shared with her crew, how they had been colleagues and friends, bound by a shared purpose. Their laughter mingled with the sounds of the island, creating an echoing harmony that resonated in the depths of their hearts. In those moments, Donald saw not just an alien, but a remarkable being with dreams and fears similar to his own. As they stepped outside into the soft twilight, the sky painted with ethereal hues, Hazel pointed to the stars now visible overhead. On Eloria, we have a saying that the stars carry our hopes and dreams. Donald followed her gaze, transfixed by the shimmering constellations. He felt a sense of wonder whisper through him, layering his memories of starlit nights with Hazel's lore. Do you have a wish? He asked, his thoughts fleeting towards the impossible. Hazel turned to him, her expression contemplative. I do. I wish to see my people again, she said, her voice filled with a quiet strength. And to ensure that our mission continues, to connect worlds and cultivate peace. His heart swelled with admiration. You're a brave soul, Hazel. I wish I could help you. In that moment, a bond blossomed between them, woven together by shared aspirations and mutual respect. The barriers that might have existed between human and alien started to fade as they leaned into their growing friendship, both aware of an undercurrent of attraction that lingered beneath the surface. They spent the following days working together to assess Hazel's ship, searching for resources on the island, and brainstorming ideas on how to communicate with her people. Donald became enchanted by her enthusiasm, her skilled hands dexterously navigating the remnants of advanced technology while she shared more about her culture, the deep respect for nature, the rituals of unity, and the unbreakable bonds of kinship among her people. It was during one of these collaborations, as they were scavenging for materials near the ship, that Donald noticed a subtle change in the air. The tension he felt was both exhilarating and daunting. They exchanged lingering glances that spoke of uncharted feelings, their laughter becoming softer and the touches lingering longer. That night, as they sat by a flickering fire warmed by the island's rich flora, Hazel turned to him, her expression hesitant but resolute. Donald, there's something I need to share with you. It's about my people's customs. Her voice trailed off, a hint of shyness coloring her tone. He encouraged her to continue, intrigue pooling in his chest. What is it? When two beings from different worlds form a bond, there is a ritual, a joining that symbolizes their connection. It's not merely physical. It's a deep blending of essences, a union of hearts and minds. Her eyes searched his for understanding. Donald's heart raced at her words. He understood the weight of her admission, the intimacy inherent in such a ritual. So, it's like a mating ritual, he clarified, feeling a flush of warmth creep into his cheeks. Yes, Hazel replied, her voice barely above a whisper. But it's also so much more. It solidifies our pact, our commitment to one another. As silence enveloped them, Donald felt a heady mix of emotions. He was aware of the unspoken bond growing stronger between them, an attraction that had transcended their differences. But with the weight of her ritual came the acknowledgement of their stark realities. Their paths were intertwined for now, but would they be able to reconcile their worlds? I'd like to know more, he finally said, the words tumbling out like truth that had long been buried. If you're willing to share, I want to understand everything about you, about us. Hazel beamed with a warmth that made his heart skip. Then, let us embrace the stars and see where this journey takes us. The sun rose over the island, casting golden rays onto the shimmering waves and painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Donald awoke to the gentle sound of the ocean, his spirit lighter as he remembered the connection he was forging with Hazel. He glanced over at her, still lost in slumber, the morning light accentuating her graceful features. There was something serene and captivating about her, and the thought sent warmth through him. As she stirred, Donald decided to break the silence. "Hey, sleepyhead," he called softly, a smile playing on his lips. Hazel's eyes fluttered open, revealing the familiar brilliance of her iridescent gaze. "Good morning, Donald," she replied, her voice thick with sleep and sweetness. "Did you sleep well?" "I did, especially knowing I wasn't alone," he admitted, feeling a shiver of anticipation for the day ahead. Stretching with a graceful elegance, Hazel rose and joined Donald at the edge of the shore. Together, they watched the waves crash against the rocks. "Today," Hazel said, "I want to explore the northern part of the island. I believe there's a cave there that might contain resources we can use to fix my ship." Intrigued, Donald agreed. "Lead the way. Let's see what this place can offer us." As they trekked through the verdant landscape, the variety of plant life captivated them both. They foraged for fruits and nuts, learning to identify the edible delights amidst the vibrant flora. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories about their lives, their hopes, fears, and dreams, while they explored side by side. But adventure was fleeting. As they approached the cave, an unsettling feeling washed over Donald, a creeping sensation that something was amiss. He glanced at Hazel, noticing her ears perk up, a sign that her senses were heightened. "Did you hear that?" she murmured, her expression shifting to one of alertness. Before he could respond, shadowy figures emerged from the trees, their forms sleek and menacing. Panic coursed through Donald as he recognized them, raiders, the very beings that had attacked Hazel's ship. "Rah!" Donald shouted, instinctively pulling Hazel away from the encroaching danger. They hurried toward the cave, hoping that the rocky terrain would provide cover. The sound of pursuit echoed behind them, guttural voices calling out in a language Donald did not understand. His heart raced as they reached the mouth of the cave, its dark entrance looming ahead. Hazel slowed, eyes wide with fear. "We can't hide here. They'll find us." "We'll think of something," he assured her, pushing aside his own fear. "We have to find a way to alert your people." Inside the cave, the darkness engulfed them, forcing them to rely on other senses. The air was cool and damp. The distant sound of dripping water echoed within the hollow interior. Donald strained to hear the raiders outside, their voices growing louder. "We need to create a distraction," Donald suggested, searching for anything they could use. "If you can find something that emits a signal, I can try to draw them away." Hazel nodded, her expression fierce with resolve. "There might be remnants of my ship's technology deeper in the cave. I'll go see if I can find anything." "Be careful," Donald warned, his heart tightening at the thought of her venturing alone into the darkness. "I'll stay here and keep watch." As Hazel disappeared into the shadows, Donald could feel the weight of time pressing down on him. The voices of the raiders grew closer, their growling and laughter echoing ominously. With adrenaline surging, he scoured the opening of the cave, searching for anything to obstruct their path. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Donald's mind raced, flooded with thoughts of Hazel and the possibility of losing her. Just as panic threatened to consume him, he heard a commotion within the cave. Hazel reemerged, breathless but determined, clutching a small device in her hands. "I found this. It should emit a signal strong enough to alert my people," she said, her eyes shining with hope. A sudden crash outside jolted them back to reality. The raiders were near. "We don't have much time," Donald urged, looking frantically around the cave. "We need to get the device operational." Working together, They hastily activated the device. A bright beam of light shot into the sky, illuminating the cave mouth and casting an eerie glow onto the walls. The signal pulsed rhythmically, a distress call sent out into the void. "Now let's get out of here before they find us," Donald shouted, pulling Hazel towards a side tunnel he spotted leading deeper into the cave. "This way." As they navigated the dark tunnel, the raiders exploded into the cave entrance, their voices echoing angrily behind them. "Find them! They must not escape," one shouted, the threat palpable in their tone. The ground beneath them began to slope downwards, the winding passage presenting new dangers. Hazel stumbled, and Donald quickly steadied her. "Stay close," he whispered, their shared fear manifesting in the tension between them. "I can hear them," Hazel whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "They're right behind us." They sprinted further down the passage until they reached a cavernous chamber, flooded with the soft light of bioluminescent fungi. "This is beautiful," Hazel gasped, momentarily distracted by the otherworldly glow. "Focus," Donald urged, feeling the pressure of time. "We have to find a way out of here." As they searched for an escape, they heard the raiders gaining on them, their footsteps echoing closer. In a panic, Donald noticed a narrow crevice at the far end of the cavern, partially hidden by the glowing fungi. "Over there!" he shouted, pointing to the escape route. They raced towards the opening, slipping through just as the first raider entered the chamber. The narrow crevice opened into a tight tunnel that twisted and turned, leading back toward the surface. With their hearts pounding, they navigated the darkness, the threat of capture looming over them. As they emerged from the tunnel, they found themselves at the edge of a cliff overlooking the beach, the sun dipping below the horizon. "We can signal from here," Hazel exclaimed, urgency coloring her tone. "Light the device again." Donald quickly activated the device one more time, sending another radiant beam into the twilight sky. Together, they fell into an embrace, the adrenaline of their escape mingling with a fierce need for support and warmth. "We'll get through this," Donald vowed, holding her tightly. As they stood there, the distant sound of the ocean barely audible over their racing hearts, he felt a profound connection, a merging of spirits forged in the crucible of crisis. But their safety remained uncertain, and they could not shake the feeling that their journey was just beginning. The sky was painted in deep hues of indigo and gold as the last vestiges of daylight faded. The distant sound of waves crashing against the shore was a soothing balm for the frayed nerves of Donald and Hazel. Their escape from the cave had been harrowing, but they had found a moment to breathe, a fleeting sense of safety before the impending storm of uncertainty returned. As they stood side by side on the cliff overlooking the ocean, Donald felt a fierce resolve igniting within him. The connection they had formed was profound, a bond that had weathered the chaos of their predicament. He turned to Hazel, the firelight reflecting in her eyes, revealing the depths of longing and hope swirling within her. "Now that we've sent the signal, what happens next?" Donald asked, seeking clarity amidst the whirlwind of emotions. Hazel took a deep breath, her demeanor shifting as she contemplated the weight of her heritage. "If my people receive the signal, they will come for me," she explained. "But there is something I wish to discuss with you, something vital to my culture and to us." The seriousness of her tone caused Donald's heart to race with anticipation. "What is it, Hazel? You can tell me anything." He stepped closer, their hands brushing together as warmth pulsed between them. "It is about the mating ritual of my people," she began, her eyes steady yet vulnerable. "This ritual signifies a profound union between two beings, a melding of essences where we exchange our deepest selves. It is a celebration of intimacy, trust, and commitment. In our case, it could mean the fusion of our worlds." Donald's breath hitched, understanding dawning upon him. The notion of mating escalated, not merely physical, but a deep spiritual connection that transcended their differences, a merging of their souls, a commitment that could redefine their existence. "Hazel, are you sure? This is a huge step," he said, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on them. "We come from different worlds." Exactly, she replied softly, her gaze unwavering. That is what makes it beautiful. We can bridge the gap, create something transcendent, but only if it feels right to you. Her voice trembled slightly, and Donald could feel the sincerity radiating from her. In his heart, he felt the truth of her words. The incredible journey they had already shared led them to this precipice, a moment that beckoned with the promise of union and understanding. He stepped even closer, his heart pounding as he searched her face. I want to be with you, Hazel. I want to understand you fully, your world, your essence, he declared, feeling the warmth of her hand envelop his, grounding him. Let's do this. A radiant smile broke across her face, illuminating the shadows of uncertainty. Then let us prepare for the mating ritual. As the first stars twinkled into existence above them, they made their way back toward the shrine-like area on the beach where they had first found refuge. The sand felt warm beneath their toes, a stark reminder of the grounding nature of the earth beneath them. Hazel began gathering items from the surroundings, a handful of unusual flowers, bioluminescent shells, and strands of seaweed whose glow illuminated the night. She moved with purpose, creating a circle on the sand that pulsed with energy and life, drawing Donald nearer to her as if he were a moth to a flame. Now we must connect with the essence of this land, Hazel explained, placing her hands gently on the ground. We honor the beauty of our worlds and invite the spirit of the island to witness our mating. Donald followed suit, kneeling beside her. As he placed his hands on the ground, he could almost feel a vibration, a rhythmic pulse that resonated with the heartbeat of the planet itself. Hazel began to chant softly, her voice rising and falling like the waves. The words were melodic, alien yet strangely familiar, as if they were unlocking something deep within Donald's soul, bringing forth a primal instinct he didn't quite understand. One by one, they began to combine the items into the center of the circle, a woven tapestry of earth and emotion, light and shadow. As they arranged the offerings, the air thickened with energy, and it felt as if the night itself was leaning in to listen. Now, we must take the next step, she said, her gaze locking onto his, filled with intensity. We will share our thoughts, our dreams, and ultimately our bodies in mating. Donald swallowed hard, feeling a mix of anticipation and nerves swirling within him. I'm ready, he replied, steadied by the unwavering trust in Hazel's gaze. In an instant, they closed the distance between them, their bodies brushing together, a spark igniting the air. Taking a deep breath, Hazel leaned in, pressing her forehead against his, the warmth of her skin sending a flow of electricity coursing through him. Close your eyes, she whispered, the comforting timbre drawing Donald deeper into his senses. As he complied, he felt their worlds begin to blend. Visions of Aloria filled his mind, lush landscapes, iridescent skies, and the vibrant community she had described. With each breath, he felt the bond strengthening, weaving their essence together like strands of a unique tapestry. Let me in, Donald, Hazel murmured softly. Trust our connection. As she spoke, he felt her essence flow into him, a kaleidoscope of colors dancing behind his eyelids as he opened his mind to her world, sharing his own thoughts and memories in return. The sound of waves at his childhood home, the laughter of friends, and the dreams he had carried with him on this journey. In that sacred space, their souls entwined, and the barriers that once defined them melted away. The physical world faded into obscurity, leaving only the profound connection they shared. As if responding to their union, the ocean roared in approval, waves crashing against the shore in rhythm with their hearts. And then, with a sudden pull of gravity, their lips met, soft, tentative, filled with wonder. The kiss deepened as desire flared, the heat of their bodies igniting a passionate recognition of their mating. It was more than a kiss. It was an exploration, a communication beyond words, a fusion of two worlds colliding in ecstasy. Hazel's fingers laced through Donald's hair, pulling him closer as their bodies moved in unison, guided by an instinctual understanding that transcended their origins. The world around them faded completely, leaving nothing but the symphony of their mating echoing across the island. Together, They embraced the night, every touch sending waves of energy crashing through their beings, a poignant reminder that they were both alive, together, bound by something greater than themselves. As dawn broke over the horizon, the soft light bathed the island in a gentle glow, illuminating the remnants of the night's sacred union. Donald and Hazel lay entwined in the warm sand, a blanket of tranquility wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. The echoes of their mating ritual still reverberated within them, merging their energies and binding their souls in an unbreakable bond. Slowly, Donald opened his eyes, a sense of profound clarity settling in. The brightening day held the promise of change, and as he looked at Hazel, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She stirred beside him, her hair glistening in the morning sun like threads of silver. "Good morning, my beloved," Hazel breathed, a soft smile gracing her lips. "Good morning, Hazel," Donald replied, his heart swelling at the term of endearment that felt so natural. "Last night it was incredible. I feel different, like the world around me has colors I never noticed before." She chuckled lightly, a melodic sound that danced through the air. "That is the power of our mating, our union. We have intertwined our essences, and now we are connected in ways that transcend our physical forms." A warm glow enveloped Donald as he processed her words. The bond they had forged through the intimacy of their ritual opened his heart to new dimensions of understanding. Yet, lingering questions hung in the air. "Hazel, what happens now? What if your people don't receive the signal? Or if they come for you?" he asked, a pang of anxiety gripping him. Hazel's expression turned serious, her gaze unwavering. "If they come, I must decide if I will return with them or stay here with you. My loyalty lies with my people, but my heart—" Her voice faltered as she placed her hand over his heart. "My heart is tethered to you." The gravity of her words sent shivers down Donald's spine. The thought of her leaving stirred a sense of dread within him, yet he understood the complexity of her situation. He took her hand in his, feeling the warmth radiate between them. "Whatever you choose, I want you to know that I'll support you. You belong to your people too, just as much as you belong to this place with me," he assured her, sincerity radiating from his heart. Just then, their moment of intimacy was broken by a distant sound, voices growing louder, followed by the familiar hum of technology. Hazel's eyes widened in recognition. "They are here!" Heart racing, Donald sprang to his feet, pulling Hazel up with him. "What do we do?" Hazel's determination returned. "We need to be ready. We can greet them together. Let them know that I'm safe." As they made their way toward the beach, the raider's ship descended from the sky, a stark silhouette against the vibrant dawn. It landed with a soft thud, sending waves of sand cascading around it. The hatch opened, and a group of Elorian figures emerged, their features similar to Hazel's, elegant, shimmering, and yet fiercely protectors of their own. Hazel squeezed Donald's hand tightly, their united front a symbol of their shared strength. "Together," she whispered, grounding him in the moment. The lead figure stepped forward, his eyes scanning the beach before settling on Hazel. "Hazel," he called, a mixture of relief and urgency in his voice as he recognized her. "We thought lost. You must return with us. There are consequences for what happened." Hazel straightened, drawing strength from Donald as she faced her people. "I am not lost. I have found something precious here. I have forged a bond with Donald, an alliance. Not just with him, but with your world and his." The crowd murmured, expressions morphing into confusion and curiosity as they turned their gazes toward Donald. He could feel their energy shifting, perceptions recalibrating as they considered his presence. "She mating with a human!" one of the raiders exclaimed, disbelief written all over his face. Another voice chimed in. "This union could threaten our ways. We cannot allow it." Hazel stepped boldly forward, addressing the gathering. "What I discovered here on this island is important. Donald and I share an understanding, a connection that could benefit both our worlds. We can foster peace. I urge you to see the value in this bond, rather than dismissing it for fear of the unknown." Donald felt a swell of pride for Hazel's bravery. The murmurs grew louder, shifting between acceptance and suspicion. He understood the weight of her task, but felt an urgency to be heard himself. "Please," he interrupted, stepping into the circle of Elorians. "I know I am an outsider, but I assure you my intentions are noble. Hazel and I have discovered something extraordinary that transcends our differences. We should not let fear dictate our futures." The air grew tense as the two worlds collided before them. Elorians looked to one another, their expressions shifting rapidly, some skeptical, others intrigued. Then, the lead figure raised his voice again, his conviction returning. "If you wish to stay together, you must prove your commitment." Hazel's gaze met Donald's, her eyes shimmering with determination. "What must we do?" she asked, her voice steady. "You will undergo a trial of unity, a test of your bond and resolve," he replied, his tone ominous. "If you can prove your worth, we will consider your alliance acceptable." Donald felt a rush of anxiety mixed with determination. "We're willing to do whatever it takes," he affirmed without hesitation, recognizing the gravity of the journey that lay ahead. As dawn fully broke over the horizon, painting the world anew, Donald and Hazel stood united against the tide of uncertainty. They had forged an unbreakable bond, and together, they would face whatever trials awaited them, proving that love that transcends the stars, could indeed create a new path forward.